Welcome back to the new episode of Keeping It Frank Podcast Show.
Hey.
With your boy, Keston Frank, a.k.a. Holla, a.k.a. Holiday, you know what I'm saying? We out here, Brooklyn, Cries, Brownsville, whatever. We out here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And Triggs.
Yeah, man, we out here, Sugar Trey. You know.
I gotta give my whole intro. Triggs from Queens, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have one next time. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write it down.
You make sure we good out here.
All right.
So how was your week, Triggs?
My week, I know, right? Doesn't it? It fits me in a weird way, right? It's like you hear it, but you're like, that wouldn't be her.
Yeah,
but then you see me, and you're like, you know what? I'll give you that. You know.
She might be a shooter, you don't know.
I think it's like that good, I like it. It works for me. But how has my week been? I don't know. The days are a blur.
Yeah, right?
They just be going by so quickly.
Yeah. The time moves really fast.
And just especially during this time, I feel like it doesn't exist. Like 2020 has just been crazy.
Yeah, you still turning up though. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I try.
Yeah,
I did go support some people last night, for their chapterversary and whatnot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. How about you? Well, how was your week?
It was regular.
Okay.
Same regular, 9 to 5.
I feel you.
Still doing this commercial situation. This guy's hitting me up.
Wow.
When the commercial's gonna be ready, man?
Well, when is it gonna be ready?
It's coming ready.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Probably tomorrow. He'll get definitely by tomorrow. He'll get this backup coffee, man. Yeah, he had tomorrow though.
That's understandable.
And then my young boy, he had a photo shoot last night.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh. Well, but as long as, we progress, we move forward, and he...
Nah, it was good. It was definitely good. You know what I'm saying? It's that, the clients came super late.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's usually like hurry up. In the acting world, it's always like hurry up and wait. That's what they say. Because it's like we have to rush and be there, but then you still wait 2-3 hours before. But I mean, when you're the one doing the shoot, it's like, come on, you got to be on time.
Come on. It wasn't even my shoot. It was his shoot.
Nah, I feel you.
This was my time.
You know what I did do this week that I forgot to mention? I just finished my next YouTube travel video, so that will actually be up today.
That's coming out?
Yeah.
Okay, where you going on this one?
Well, this is just finishing my South America trip.
Okay.
So this is a city in Brazil called Salvador de Bahia.
Oh yeah, I know somebody from over there.
Yeah. I was about to say, do you really?
No.
Okay. But it's it was an interesting place because that's the main point of the African slave trade to Brazil. Okay. So it's very Afro-Brazilian, very cultural versus how Rio is more just crazy. Not that sound effect meant anything, but you understood. But so I wanted to go there at the end of my trip to experience that culture. Yeah. So that's the video that's going up today.
That's dope, man. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, yay.
Thanks. It's gonna be good. So what we got in front of us. So Trigger Trey bought
I brought the drink today. Mm-hmm. I brought one of my favorite wines. Right. So I'm a white wine drinker. I drink everything, honestly, but my favorite, except for gin. Yeah. That is correct. And tequila, depending on the type of night I'm trying to have. Okay. But this is one of my favorite wines. I like sweet wine, but this is it's like a sparkling Moscato.
Okay.
So it's very crisp. It's not annoying. It doesn't give you a headache, but it's also still fairly cheap.
That's good. I don't want a headache.
Yeah, no, every time people have tasted it, they're it's really good. And if you get it, I go out to Long Island to get it because it's cheaper, but you can get it here, but it'll be $11 versus in Long Island at the warehouse, it's $8. So I always buy a bunch of bottles at one time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Let's try this thing out.
Yes.
Good glass.
It's called Seven Daughters.
7 Daughters?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very tasty.
Was it made by 7 Daughters?
I have no idea. I never really looked them up. I was recommended the wine when I went to the liquor store, and yeah, it's delicious. I hope you kind of sweet,
Okay.
Who knows?
You want some over there, Mr. Huh? Yeah, a little bit. All right, get your glass. It's cool. You're not going to mess with the recording. It's cool. My guy Butters, everybody. You know what I'm saying?
We gotta make sure he's good too, during the recordings.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Don't be over getting saucy, you know. I'm chilling. About to be chilling here.
So what are we cheersing to today?
Life,
love, and happiness?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good to me. Making it all the way through 2020 so far, right? So far.
Still alive, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
gotta swirl around a little bit. Look at y'all being, what are the sommeliers? Look at y'all. Tell me, where is it from?
Yeah. Nice body.
Can you tell what region it's from?
So this is definitely got the Queen's vibes.
Queen's vibes for the wine.
From Queens, you know.
I'm done with y'all. No, it tastes good, right? It's like a nice crisp taste. It's not like,
I like it.
Doesn't have a weird aftertaste, because some Moscatos can be trash. So glad I put you on. You know, you want to do something for the ladies.
7 daughters.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, man. This episode, I gotta keep saying it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be amazing.
It's always gonna be amazing.
What is this episode about, Chicken Trey?
We're gonna talk about the social dilemma. We're gonna talk about all the social media, social aspects. There was a show that was on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but it touched on a lot of things that I think are really important just about today's world now. I think our generation, we kind of gotten we got a balance of both worlds. And it's now when you think about the younger generation that is being raised on technology and social media, it's what's that really doing to them? And I think it's an interesting conversation to have.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests.
That's not by accident, that's a design technique. What I want people to know is that everything they're doing online is being watched, is being tracked. Every single action you take is carefully monitored and recorded.
Sure. It's definitely, because I definitely watched the documentary. And it's interesting because I know, for us, we kind of in the middle. We came, we came up in this, in the beginning of everything.
We were the last generation to really probably play outside.
Exactly.
Really.
But now, the kids now is growing up with everything that we didn't have and more. Right? That ass, you could basically watch, you could basically play NBA 2K. They have a whole park area of NBA 2K online. And everybody go online and basically just play in the park.
Instead of actually going outside and socializing together.
You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy. You make friends on there. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You gonna be on tomorrow? I'm gonna be here tomorrow.
But it affects the social interaction, which is crazy.
What part you gonna be at? I'm gonna be over here by Court B.
But virtual.
You know what I'm saying?
It's really, I think, affected a lot of the interactions that we have with people. These are how people are raising their kids too. People don't even take the time to discipline their kids or whatever. They just put an iPad in front of them and have them watch, whatever is interesting that has them sit down for a period of time.
But you be seeing kids getting so zoomed in. They're so focused in on the iPad, the phone, everything. They're just so zoomed in on everything that's going on. It's they know the joints better than we do.
I mean, yeah, because that's what they learn from birth, how to use. We learned how to use it as it was being as it was being created. When dial up, we had dial up service when it had to make all that weird noise to connect to the internet, right? When it was I still used to have a BlackBerry. I was talking to one of my friends.
BlackBerry, yeah.
But it's even you think about the phones before, the one game that was on there was Snake. That was not in color.
That was the first Nokia. My first phone was a Nokia phone.
Same.
And you had the Snake. I ain't gonna lie. I was in that.
That was the game.
No levels too. You just played that shit for
The Snake got longer. That was the level.
Yeah, you played forever. You're man. Damn, how you did Snake so long?
was the game. Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't even in color. You know, and then it was like, then now you get to the point where like iPhones do everything. Like, you know, so we were the ones that really got to like be a part of that cell phone age as it was starting, the computer age really as it was starting. So we kind of like learned how to use it as it came out. Our parents didn't have it. They got it, you know, basically becoming already adults. And these kids have iPhones straight from birth.
Exactly.
Like, it's crazy.
So they got now they got, you know, Facebook, Instagram. I remember MySpace. Some of y'all remember MySpace.
You remember Skonex?
I remember Skonex. High Five. Remember High Five? You know, none of those things over there. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Exactly.
Make me feel old.
MySpace was a shit too.
It was.
You
add music. That's when you learn how to code. Yeah. Then you get to like. Yeah. But how did you feel, since you brought up like Facebook, the MySpace, stuff like that, watching The Social Dilemma, like how did you feel when they basically, like these ex-VPs of these companies basically said that they purposely manipulate you? Yeah. Like how did that make you feel when you were watching that?
It felt crazy, like even though you know it, because like as a graphic designer, like I know that psychologically, like it plays an important role on how you design anything, right? How you do a logo, advertising, everything. Like you have to think about how it plays somebody's psyche, right? From color to somebody to income level. Right, like one of the things we learned in school was like you're never gonna see like a high class like ad, like let's say a Lexus ad in like Brownsville or something like that. True. Because niggas they're buying the older Lexus models. Right. If they buy the newer ones, you know what they're doing. Then also you're not gonna find like a malt liquor ad in Beverly Hills. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it all played an important role. I thought it's the same thing. Like they're gonna think about how it's gonna psychologically play on keeping people coming back to the site. Right. I just thought it was big because it was like everybody I was watching on that documentary had like some real high positions.
I was the co-inventor of the Facebook like button.
I was the president of Pinterest,
Google, Twitter, Instagram.
And I was like, wow.
I was surprised that they got people that were that high up. At first, I thought it was going to be like, you know, people that just were employees at these companies, but like them actually being VPs or the ones that helped I think one of the guys actually was in charge of monetization for like Facebook or one of them.
Somebody actually made like he was a part of the team that made the like button.
The like button, all that stuff. But
the like button?
It's like it really makes you think how crazy that is. Like, I guess, so they also touched on in what we can talk about, like the pros and cons of social media, right? So it's like, I think what they talked about, like it was made for, you know, a way to connect with people, right? The positive.
It was to bring people together. It was to bring people together. But then as everything you do is gonna have a lasting effect, right? It's gonna change. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always gonna turn from one thing to the next. So regardless of whatever the intent was, the reality now is it's still good. There's still a lot of good to it, but there's also a lot of negative to it.
Yeah, because people don't talk to each other anymore. That's really what it comes down to. Like, because even it reminded me of The Social Dilemma when they showed like the guy that was like, you know, the little like fake little body of yourself. It reminded me of like Black Mirror. I was like, because now 2020 has just been a year of Black Mirror, basically, to me, real life happening. But it was like, it reminded me of that, like just the crazy aspect of like where your mind goes now and like how stuck you get. Like you don't realize how much time you spend on these things. Like I've definitely like laid in bed. I've been a victim of it for sure. Laid in bed and was like, I'm gonna scroll for like 10 minutes. Next thing I know, 45 minutes went by, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I just wasted time, you know?
So what platform do you go the most?
Instagram.
Instagram?
I mean, yeah. I would say now between Instagram, YouTube.
I'm probably on YouTube the most. I probably focus more on YouTube, but I definitely be on Instagram back and forth. So YouTube is my main.
But it's now it's also hard when you're trying to build a business, right? And you want to get your business out there. It's you then have to put yourself into social media.
Yes.
Because so as much as you might want to disconnect from social media, it's you can't if your goal is to promote yourself. So even when I went away, watching that whole show made me no, I need to go away and disconnect again. I feel y'all trying to trap me. I happen to say I'm looking for furniture, then all of a sudden the furniture ad comes up. Y'all listening and I don't appreciate that,
Exactly. Everything that you said.
And that shit is scary as fuck. Why? There should be no reason why I searched one thing, but then now that's all I see. Yeah. And especially if you say it, I promise you, just because I said furniture here, when I turn, there's going to be a bunch of furniture showing up on my phone, and I think that's crazy.
Siri's listening. And Alexa, I just got cut Alexa off though. That bitch knows.
It's crazy.
Alexa knows you, yeah.
But it's I try to when I travel, I do try to disconnect. When I went on my solo trip, I didn't post anything while I was there. I only spoke to my mom and somebody else so they knew I was safe. You know what I mean? But I really tried to separate a little bit from it. But then it's now I'm back and it's well, I want to promote my career. I'm starting a YouTube channel. Now I have to figure out hashtags and all this stuff. I have to put myself into social media. And it's
the way around it, what I find is basically I focus on the business.
The business aspect of it.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I have Keeping the Frame podcast IG. I got my photography IG. Mm-hmm. I got my personal one as well, but I don't really focus on that one.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I focus on other ones. Mm-hmm. So I'm posting everything that relates to my business. See, I'm doing some photography stuff. I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing some video stuff. That's what I'm focusing on. Mm-hmm. Right? I have to YouTube. I just created the Keeping the Frank podcast show group community. Y'all check it out. And we're gonna have dialogue. We'll be talking on that group. Okay, so we're gonna get it cracking, right? But yeah, I think once you understand what you're doing and what your focus is going to be on, I think then you can kind of navigate properly.
But do you feel you even though you are focusing on you posting business-wise and maybe not always personal, do you get caught up still in the swiping and
Matter of fact, the other day I think I saw something on IG. There was some wrestling shit back in the days, right? Some old wrestling shit. Then I was like, oh shit, I remember that. Then I went on YouTube and I put that shit in. And I swear to God, I had a good 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'm watching some old wrestling shit. I remember that.
They got you trapped.
NWO, nigga. I remember those niggas.
They got you trapped. That's what they did. They trapped you. The little bot.
I remember those. I remember doing the Stone Cold Stunner to everybody in junior high school. I remember that.
The little bot was behind there oh, he clicked on it. Let's get him. Let's get him. Get him stuck for 2 hours. That's what happened.
I definitely getting caught up.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I think it was great that you were able to connect with people that you probably won't see, people from all over the world. You can promote yourself. But I do feel people now lack social skills in person. Yeah. Even friends I have some friends that have become big on social media. Yeah. And I feel even speaking to them sometimes, there's still a slight disconnect. Yeah. And at first I couldn't really put my finger on it, but then I was I feel their thought process or their brain or how they it's just all over the place because you're well, I gotta post or I gotta figure out this or I'm thinking about this but doing this, and it's just well, we're sitting here let us have a conversation about what we're talking about,
And that's why I make sure even if I'm with people, I don't touch my phone. I let my phone ring in my pocket because I'm with you. I feel like a dialogue we need to be having.
Yeah.
Let's just talk. What we talking about? What we doing? Where we going? Right? And then you have those people when you're having a real conversation about something. No, I'm telling you, son, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna Google it.
I mean, Google does help in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I told you,
Google helps everywhere.
Calm down, bro.
I do Google a lot of things. And I know they're stalking me from my Google.
I'm telling you you're wrong, yo. I'm telling you. I promise you, you're right. You're right.
But what else? Because what else did they touch on? They touched about like, you know, like now with the filters and everything, like people now are like, they want to look like the filters that Snapchat and Instagram let you look like.
Nowadays where going on a knife is a thing, right? Everybody's getting sliced up and then they butts and they titties and everything's getting big out here in the streets, you know what I'm saying? So people get caught up with just how the filters make them look. It's weird. I was like,
it does make you look nice, though. I will say. I try not to, as a female sometimes, like I try not to get like caught up in it, but it's like even just something really simple, like the shape of my face, right? I think I have a very oval like face shape, but then when you put on the filter, like it gives you more of a little, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I look like that. And you'd be like, oh shit, no, I don't look like that. You know what I mean? And then I'll be like, well, dag. And then sometimes I will think like, well, why am I not okay with sharing a photo of me without a filter?
But it's because now it's just bigger. Because before it was like, people look at magazines and they get caught up in how these women look at the magazines, right? Not knowing like, this is not how they really look in the magazines. I do photo editing. I know how they look. You know what I'm saying? I know the work that goes in behind like fixing somebody's face, skin, the blemishes, and all that. How smoothing the skin and everything just to get a particular look. It's never like that. Yeah. But now it's in your hand, right? You're constantly reminded about how
you don't look,
how imperfect you are, right? And then when you take a picture of yourself, like, damn. Now just swipe right. Oh, we smooth on this one.
Right.
Keep swiping. Oh, I got some stars. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Got the moon in the back.
Okay. All right. You know what I'm saying? Look. Oh, the dog mouth. All right. Okay.
Wasn't that the hoe filter, like the thought filter or something with the little dog tongue?
They out here.
But even as like a grown woman, right? Like being 30 and seeing stuff like that, like, and I feel like I'm a very confident person. I feel like I'm confident in my body. I'm confident like how I look. Like I'm not sitting here like, oh, I joke about how like, oh, I gained 6 pounds in quarantine, but I've always been like roughly this size. So it's like, I've never felt ashamed of that or whatever. But it's like, I've noticed, especially even during this time, like,
the big girl's like, oh, 6 pounds.
I know. But I'm saying like, I'm in general, because I used to be a little bit thicker, like not like heavy set, but I was still like thicker than I am now. But I've never had an issue with like my body or trying to be like, well, I want to look like somebody else, right? But there are even times where you get caught in that too. Like even being a confident woman, I'm like, dang, she got a nice ass though. Like, why can't my ass look like that? You know, or like, dang, her stomach, ooh, that 6-pack, you know? And it's like, so now being 30 and lived, you know, years here and dealt with that, it's like, now I'm only thinking about like, and they talked about it in the show too, like the little girls that haven't had time to probably love themselves enough now, or like hurting themselves and wanting to do things to really, you know, look like what they see on these ads.
The numbers was crazy. I think that's the scary part, right? Like, especially when you start having like kids and daughters and everything, like they have the numbers of like the preteens and the teens, that's, like depressed, and the numbers of the preteens and the teens that's like committing suicide.
It's sad.
Like you see, the society is just different now, right? Everything that we do now is just like super scrutinized, and you know, people are more sensitive now. So so on top of all of that sensitivity, you have social media that's just making
everybody has access to you and the sensitivity. That's really
exactly. So it's just worse. It's just worse now. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say, speaking of sensitivity, did you watch the movie Cuties?
Ja! Was soll denn das jetzt? Was ist hier los?
Man, you jump in there already?
I mean,
jumping in there.
We're talking about about preteens. We're talking about sensitivity.
So
did you also watch? Because I feel like it ties into social media, and I don't know if everybody has watched it, but I know there's been a huge issue with it. So I watched it.
I watched it. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. Thanks for recommending it to me.
Okay.
I don't think I just watched it just out here.
No, I told him to watch it because I was I think it would be interesting to talk about.
But I definitely watched it as somebody who did film in school, storyboarding, visual editing, everything like that in school, and I had to really go through these different things of breaking down films and stuff like that. In school, like I think I went into it with a different mindset, right? I went into it knowing about the backlash and everything that
Same.
And I was like, let me see what they're talking about. Was it as bad as they claim to be? I think the camera angles that they used was definitely not the best choice.
Okay.
Right? Because I was telling people about it, and I felt like I get the commentary that was going on, the way they was going with it. Was every execution the best execution? It definitely wasn't. And I think the camera angles just didn't add on to it. But I definitely understood where the director was going with it. It's a female director. I think it was her first debut. But I definitely get what she was trying to say, where she was trying to go. You know what I'm saying? And then also knowing about film from like how they are overseas, they're
it's a little different,
more experimental, right? It's a little different. So you bring in something from France to America, they're definitely gonna look at it completely different. You know?
True.
What's your take on it?
So I think it was the same thing. Like, I saw the backlash from it, like, you know, and also being in the arts and theater and writing and directing my own stuff, right? It was like, I think I also looked at it from an artistic perspective, right? And I feel like as artists, sometimes you do have to push boundaries to get your message across.
Yeah.
Like, you have to make people uncomfortable for them to think about the truth about certain things. Was the cover photo the best photo that Netflix put? I don't think so.
That's what Netflix messed up.
Right.
Because the original cover art for it is definitely more it's simpler.
It's not as like ratchet looking.
It's not as like suggestive of what Netflix did. Like, okay, this should look like these little girls out here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Pussy popping on a handstand and shit.
But I even feel like the picture that they used initially was only such a small part of the film.
Yeah.
Like, when you really watched it, that one part was like, not like it was minuscule or whatever, but it was just it was one small part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I felt the same way. Like, I felt like I understood the message that they were trying to get across. And like, was the cinematography the best? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. I think, and not just the subjective, shots, but even some of the other ones I thought could have been done a little bit better.
Well, I did like. I like the idea of the dress.
What do you mean of the dress?
All right, so she got the dress started bleeding.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
the shot where the dress was filling out, right? Kind of showing like the body. It kind of suggests like, you know, how her feeling as a woman. You know what I'm saying? I definitely like the idea. And at the end, where you had like the thigh clothes and the dress, she had to choose between her culture, right, her traditions, and society.
But she found a balance.
She found that balance. You know what I mean? I definitely like, those are the parts that I could definitely say, okay, well.
So spoiler alert.
Spoiler if y'all.
People probably like, they not gonna watch it.
Spoilers before you do anything. So, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen Cuties, if you don't want to see it,
then it don't matter.
If after this you decide you want to take a look at it, then you know.
But I feel like people, I don't think it was cancel Netflix worthy. I don't think it was there. I think people
messed up on the description and
on the picture, yes. But like, when people then like watch the movie and then they tried to be like, oh, cancel Netflix, I don't think it was cancel Netflix worthy. I think people did not want to really look at, and also touching back on the whole social dilemma aspect, the whole beginning part of the movie, Like, it was her trying to find where she fit in. And what did she end up doing when she found this dance group is look online and found people twerking.
After she stole the phone.
Right. But she didn't have a phone. She saw people that had phones. Like, you know what I mean? But this is things that little kids in junior high school go through. And you watch the stuff that's on social media or whatever. She sees a whole bunch of big asses, people twerking and all this stuff and getting love and praise, right? And then what are you going to do? Try to copy it. And I think that's what the message was. Like, this is an issue in society.
Even when she did the thing that she did, took a photo of, when she took a photo of.
That happens too.
Her whole team was like, nah, you make us look bad. Right? Like, one of the things she said, she was like, we have to let them see that we're not kids. We need more likes. She said, we need more likes. So I'm like, but you see what her mom was at. Her mom was like, yo, you know, she got caught up on
trying to be accepted.
Exactly.
And that's what you think is going to help you be accepted. And like, that's why I didn't think the movie was a bad movie. That I don't feel like, oh my God, like they made it so bluntly uncomfortable for you that you should think about, wow, what that would mean for if you have a preteen. Like, how are they, you know, what's their mental health in this situation, really? And it's like, and it wasn't even like in the movie that everybody else was like praising them for doing this stuff. They were like, this is awkward. This shouldn't be happening. Like, you know, so I think
they could have done a better job with that part as well.
Yeah.
Because the beginning, of course, everybody's clapping and whatever, and then it was like, then you started seeing them saying that them born and things like that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I don't think the focus was on that.
Right.
When we look at it, so it kind of just looked like they got a lot of praise. I mean, like some people was like born, but I think they could have done a better job at that. But I think, like I said, I think certain executions was off. I think they could have done better with certain executions. But other than that, I don't think the film was a bad film. I think it was okay.
I got the message.
The shock value was gonna be. I'm like, yo, who's this grown ass man recording these kids like this? He was like,
right.
It was damn.
It could have been a female. Could have been a female camera woman.
Right? It was like so much focus on these little girls. Like, that was the uncomfortable part.
Yes, it was.
That was uncomfortable. Just watching them, like, yo.
It was. But I think, like, if it wasn't, sometimes I do think if it wasn't uncomfortable, people still wouldn't have gotten the message.
But I still feel like you have a lot of people who get the message. Like, I'm on YouTube, but I'm watching. So after I watched it, I went right on YouTube right after. And I basically was looking at the
people's like reviews or responses.
I feel like it was most people didn't get it, or most people didn't want to get it.
I don't think they wanted to get it.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted it. I think it's like, you know, they want to kind of make believe like this don't happen.
And it does. Because if you even think about, even in West Indian culture, Spanish culture, you see these videos of these little kids. As soon as they little, they doing all this stuff, and people be like, "Ooh, yeah, oh, she's so cute," all this other stuff, right?
That's the culture, like
right. But it's like it's still little kids fake twerking or trying to twerk or whatever, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, but now that somebody kind of puts it in your face,
here is also because in America,
it's not always in America. I've seen.
What I'm saying is the fact that it's putting your face in America. I'm saying like people are taking it and they're turning it to kind of like you know, starting to go up to be at arms about. You know what I'm saying? People like, oh, this is pedophilia, this and the third. I mean, it's low key pedophilia.
It was borderline, very
like it was.
But I just don't think it was cancel worthy. I think look at it for what it was. Like look at the message and then decide from there. Yeah. Not saying that if a grown man is sitting there and want to be like, yeah, let me rewind this part when they twerking. All right, fine, that's on that individual. Yeah. But it's like the point of it though, like is to pick up what the issue is in today's society with what kids are now dealing with and how they are hurting themselves, hurting other people to be liked. If I post a picture, I'm probably going to get more likes if I'm in a thong bathing suit than if it's just, you know, me in a full, you know, right? Like
see that shit.
People like that's what happens. happens. So it's like you feel sometimes, and again, as adults and my friends that are grown and adults, you feel like, well, if I want to get, 200, at least 100 or 200 likes or whatever, I got to show some ass, or I got to make it sexy, or I got to do whatever, instead of it being like, here's my face.
Yeah.
And I'm going to clown.
The big thing was, like I said, like just the contrast between traditions, culture, and basically society we live in that, right? Living in that particular moment. If this thing, I family from what, synagogue or something, family is from? Senegal, whatever, right? The thing about it is, like, if she grew up in Senegal,
yeah.
If she grew up out
this wine.
It would have been a different. She would have been different because she would have been around other young girls going through the same thing.
True.
This would be the norm, right? But then when you're in a society like America or like France or like Europe, England, like when you can see more, right? You can, and everything is just out there in your face, right? Like her father was getting married. Spoiler: her father was getting married to another woman.
Yeah.
She was still married to her mom.
But that's also a cultural thing, yeah.
But then now, what happens now when you're growing up in a place where that culture is not, it's not relevant, it's not out there like that, it's not that's normal, right? So now she's seen that this is not normal compared to where she live at.
But she just didn't understand either, or didn't want to, because she was just angry. Also seeing her mother upset, like that's a lot.
Like, I have a bunch of friends that was going through the same thing and shit. Like, oh well, yeah, we out here cooking up and
yeah, no, I get you.
Right? One day you might be married and then have another 2 extra wife homegirls or some shit like that in the household. Like, it was crazy.
But
it was a crazy movie, man.
It was, but it's a truth that I think like people need to just like understand, the same way we're in Social Dilemma. Like, it's a truth that people and children are being manipulated by social media. And, and even just as the adults nowadays, also segueing into some of the social media politics, right? Yeah. It's like, even as adults, people are getting swindled into certain things because of how social media is set up, right? So it's like, not only are the children affected, but you got grown-ass people that just might, don't want to take the time or the energy or, have the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't want to say well-roundedness, but you know what I mean? To like actually search things on their own, because aside from social media. And
now there's so much information out there that is like, okay, well, this shit gotta be true, right? Because back in the days was like, okay,
you have to read the newspaper, no?
Exactly. You want to get some news. You're either watching the news at a particular time, right? What's Fox doing? It's 10 o'clock. Do you know you're cheering? So basically, they either you watching the news at a certain time, or now you get a newspaper in the morning on your way to work or something like that.
And now you don't. I'm surprised newspapers are still in business because you don't need that. Barely.
You know what I'm saying? And you have the news stations that's trying to keep up with social media.
True. I mean, in the Social Dilemma, they said fake news travels faster than real news.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a fact.
So now you have these different news stations that pick a side, like Fox. You already know what Fox, you know what side they pick. You know what I'm saying? Where they at? MSNBC, CNN. I think CNN's kind of like between, but a place like Fox, who's like clearly
conservative,
you know what I'm saying? Clearly where they at. So it's like, now so it's either now you pick a side. You can't even tell the whole news no more.
No, that is true. That is true.
So and I think that's the result of social media, because news travels so fast.
And it's the wrong one. And people don't want to I feel like people aren't individual enough sometimes, if that makes sense, to take it upon themselves to then find out what the real truth is. And
before, I forgot what it's called. It's like a reporter. Like, you gotta have like 3 sources, right? You can't just have one. You gotta have 3 sources. Nowadays, is whatever that first source says, I'm gonna throw that shit out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna keep throwing shit out there until something sticks. And that's the whole thing now. It's just like they're just throwing news out there to see people. what's going to stick to the public.
That's why I don't like watching the news, honestly. Like, I mean, I feel like I end up on social media and I see what I see on social media, but I still take it as propaganda. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still just like, oh, okay, this is what they posted today. But I'm going to choose what my decision is, not solely going to base it off of what I see. And that was another thing that they mentioned on Social Dilemma, which I thought was interesting, especially in today with what's going on with, like, you know, well, your shirt, like the Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And whatnot. But it's like, if social media, if they see that clearly you support Black Lives Matter, they're going to keep showing you the things that support what you like versus showing you both sides, right? Same with somebody else who thinks, you know, F Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. They're going to keep showing them what supports their decision. So no one actually kind of wants to understand or like the other side.
What's crazy, I sit there and I watch all sides, right? I watch the Candace Owens and see what she's saying.
Right.
Another dude he sounds funny, but he always talking some shit. But I watch this dude, and I watch the other, you know what I'm saying, people on the left, and I see what they say. I watch Umar Johnson, and it's like, yo, fuck everybody. So I watch the different sides and see what everybody's saying. I think it's important to know what everybody's saying. I think it's important to know everybody's dilemma or everybody's angle. Because
not everyone is right and not everyone is all wrong either. Like, I think in some conversations, not all, like when it comes to some of the things that Republicans say, I can say maybe, okay, I can see where that makes sense. And then some things with Democrats, it's like, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think everyone's 100% perfect or wrong, you know what I mean? Like, you have to decide who's going to go more towards what you support. But I just think it's crazy how now things have gotten so much out of hand. Like, that's what they were also talking about, like how bad and how separated now this country is because no one wants to take the time to understand the other side.
Exactly.
And that's what's great, and that partly has to do with social media, right? But it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, when you really look at it, stuffed into that, how long was the documentary? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah. It was crazy, like, just going more into the documentary, just the story that was being told in the documentary. Like, you know, you had the information get put out. There's a small little short that was within the documentary. And you saw the mother trying to, like, you know what, we're going to sit down and have a family dinner without phones. She locked the phones up. And you had the youngest daughter, but she really had some kind of emotional issue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She was like, I just sit down all quiet because nobody know how to talk to each other and shit. She got up, walked away, said, I can get my phone.
And made sure to get her damn phone.
Got the hammer, got her little goggles, and broke that shit, took her phone and ran.
I was like, that's crazy.
That's one little girl that called her mom a bitch, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, just out here, just, you know what I'm saying? The mom like, oh my God, you call me a bitch? Yeah, bitch, give me my fucking phone.
It's crazy what it's come to now. And like, cause what else did sorry, like tapping back to like the politics side of it, because I know everybody's probably like we're tired of hearing, you know, what's going on, but it's like sometimes it's important to like mention.
You have to go into it.
But even like after they, you know, announced the decision for like the Breonna Taylor case, like when the was it the DA that spoke or the I forgot the guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so when he was just
one person got
I think, no, I know, but when he spoke after, when he was like, oh, there's celebrities and influencers that don't know all the facts and blah, 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 like basing it all on like social media, you know, and it's like just even in that statement, right, it's just kind of like...
shows you how like much power this shit really has.
And it makes you think about like, well, what is the truth? Like, because I'm all for, like, I think it's fucked up, you know, what happened. Like, that should have never happened to anyone. But then it's like, okay, on their side, are there things missing that we don't know? Right? Are there things that maybe did affect it, but because we're only getting what we support, we're only going to keep going for like, well, no, it's wrong. But like, what are we missing things? Like sometimes I do think about that. Yeah. Like what part of the truth are we missing just because we only see things on social media or whatever? But I mean, I still think it's fucked up regardless. But sometimes I really think about that. Like, cause I try to look at everything from all sides, even just personally in day-to-day life. Like I try to understand someone and, you know, I might not fully pick your side. I listen to the other side, see how we can meet in the middle, whatever. So even with that, I'm just like, are we missing things? Yeah, you know.
So it's a lot that I feel like, because even like it's about like Charles Barkley spoke about how the guy shot at the cops and shit, but it's like, nigga, they kicked my door down, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? You try to come to my crib, I'm blasting at you. You know what I'm saying? Automatically. But I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot we have to kind of like we have to take with it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things as well when it comes to social media is this shit happening today. Mm-hmm. Got all the outrage and shit going on. So guess what? The sad part about it, it's something gonna happen on this phone, on your computer, on your tablet. Mm-hmm. That's gonna help you forget. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's the sad part about it.
And I mean, I know that's what people have been trying to make sure people don't forget. That's why they want to, you know, I think one of the pros though, luckily, is that people are realizing how one-sided social media can be. So there are those group of people that are trying to balance it out. Like if you're constantly only seeing women that are like, you know, like how we said, like that have all the plastic surgery, big butt, whatever. There are people that are trying to say, no, natural is beautiful. Like, no, your natural body is beautiful. How do we continue to promote that? Like, you know, they are trying to put some things in place. Like I think there's some kid limitations, right, for certain things, or like, you know, I think that I think society in general is trying to balance it out as best as we can, just because social media is not going to go away. It's going to get worse. There's going to be a new platform or something like TikTok. I haven't even fully gotten on that shit.
I think it was just like, you know, when my son getting into social media now, he has on YouTube channel. Check out Fish J Official. I'm saying it's on YouTube. He told me to say that shit, so.
You guys tell him to pay you now. Yeah, now you promoted him.
But now, you know, I think it's important, like for myself, that kind of like grew up in both eras and that, you know what I'm saying? Like seeing how social media came about and to where it's at now, is important for me to kind of balance him out.
How do you plan on balancing him out? Because I know in the documentary, some of them talked about their ways of balancing their kids out. Like, how do you think you're going to incorporate that?
Like, right now he has YouTube, but he don't have anything else. You know what I'm saying? And even with him, I always try to make sure, like, we sit down and we watch things together. Explain to him, like, when we watch how they see us, we watch how they see us together. Okay. And I kind of like, we break things down, and he's a really smart kid, so he kind of like, you know what I'm saying, kind of understand. And I think, even like right now, he has a phone, but...
I was about to ask, like, does he have a phone?
He just got a phone. He's not going to junior high school, just got a phone.
What kind of phone?
I got an iPhone.
Okay.
An older iPhone. But he been asking for that shit for like years now. He's not getting a phone until you're in junior high school. And he kind of like understood. Okay. Kind of to understand it. And now that he has it, there's times we go outside and he keep that phone inside. I just bring your phone with you? He's like, nah, I don't need it.
Okay, and I mean, and that's great.
Yeah, I think it's important to really kind of, you know, help them navigate this world and shit. I think for all parents, got to help their kids navigate this world because, you know, and then what happens now when you're a parent that grew up within that era now.
Right. I think it's finding the balance because I think kids are going to have to know how to use technology. They're going to have to. Technology is the new wave, especially after the quarantine and everything being remote. You have to know how to operate and use things, which is great. But I do think that people need to remember to try to bring back social interaction. And I know, COVID, people are like, but I feel even before COVID and like once everything does get back to some sort of a normal level, it's like it's sitting down with someone face to face and speaking to someone, and like that's really what it means to be a human. Honestly. And I feel like, and that's what people forget. Like FaceTime has helped me speak to friends that are far. That's why I like FaceTiming people because I like to see your face. So it makes me feel like I'm with you.
This dude in the documentary said something interesting. He said, human beings, we're social people. Like we're like in tribes and shit. We meant to, we look for that acceptance from our tribe and shit, right? But now what happened when you're on social media, and that tribe now is just billions of people.
And who you don't even really know.
Who you don't know, but you're trying to please everybody now.
And you can't.
Which is crazy. And I think that's what keeps kind of continue going to kind of fuck these kids up and shit.
Yeah.
Without the parents
taking control of it.
Gonna fuck these kids up and shit. And what happens when your parents is kind of like involved in
stuck in it also.
You know what I'm saying?
And because that could be us. Like our generation, we're very much involved in social media and technology. So when we continue to have kids or, some people that are right under us, it's like, but we're stuck in social media. So are we going to be able to stop our kids from being stuck in social media? And that's, that really is going to depend on the person. But that's what I would hope, at least for my future family. Yeah. Like, I don't mind it, especially if I'm promoting with it, but I want to make sure that we actually are able to have conversations and talk to people and all of that,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was deep. Got a little deep just now.
Well, sometimes the wine, honey, the wine. Okay. You got to think about all 7 of your daughters and make sure they promoting properly.
What's these girls' names?
I have no idea. No idea whatsoever.
But I think that shit was dope, man. I think the documentary was definitely a dope documentary. Mm-hmm. Cuties was a good show. It was a good movie. I think moving forward, we just gotta understand how social media play a part in our lives, and how we can live in this world of social media that also don't let it control us.
That is true.
And I think that's the most important thing that starts.
And stop being so fucking sensitive, y'all.
Yeah, stop being so sensitive, man.
People be crying about. People be reaching sometimes. They be reaching.
Like when I start hearing like niggas talking about they getting bullied online, like what, nigga? I was a real bully, nigga.
I saw somebody one time said bullying. If you get bullied, it builds character. But I was like, some people be ODing nowadays, though.
I think it builds character. You know what I'm saying?
I got bullied in junior high school.
Yeah, bullied?
Well, elementary school and junior high school, yeah, I did.
Crazy.
But what's funny is that like one of them who used to bully me is my Saiyan soror and number now. Well, we're cool now. It's fine. And then,
I know who that is.
But it's like it can teach you a lot of things. I don't think every child probably is strong enough for it in some ways, but you also have to have parents that support you and feed into you, that you have like that you can be confident, and even if somebody doesn't like you, that it's okay. Like even as an adult, and even in Greek life, I feel like I've dealt with like so much shit. You know what I mean? Like you want the ideal things, but people are gonna be people at the end of the day. You can't please everybody. Everybody's not gonna be happy, but everybody has different minds. I went on a tangent, so.
Listen, like Bernie Mac said, you don't like hustle. I don't give a fuck. You don't like it? I can get too goddamn.
You gotta get there.
I get too goddamn motherfucker. I don't give a fuck.
R.I.P. Bernie Mac.
R.I.P. I told you I met Bernie Mac when I was in high school.
Did you? Did you say that before? I don't remember.
Man, yeah, that's my guy. When he died, I cried.
It was sad. When these artists that you feel close to, like Chadwick, it was just like.
I saw him. I was like, you Bernie Mac. He said, very good, son. Very good. He was like,
hilarious.
Two dope impressions I know I did was Bernie Mac and Chris Tucker. That was my two impressions.
Really? I just watched somebody today. Was it today or yesterday that was doing Kevin Hart, and he did Chris Tucker at one point.
Yeah, that was my guy.
I'm not a good. I can't do impressions.
Come on, man.
Well.
Showed you. Come on, man.
Oh yeah.
I got on fire.
Fifth Element was my movie.
If I knew I was on fire, I don't want to die.
I love Fifth Element. Fifth Element was one of my favorite movies.
Yo, he was like, what kind of blossom? Shutting me up, daddy, on the body and looking good.
I'm gonna have to go home and watch that movie just to feel a sense of nostalgia.
I got fun with that movie. Tell me, come on, man. How you feel?
Yo, when the Blue Queen was singing that song, her song was dope. That shit was dope. I was like, I downloaded that song. I used to have it like, that was my movie.
Yeah, man. Social media was the wrong shit out. They gotta get that Fifth Element out there, bro.
That was one of my favorite actresses too, and I feel like Mila Jovovich. She was the one that played the Fifth Element. And sometimes I always feel weird because people are always like,
nobody knew that blue bitch was.
No, she's not the blue one.
Which one?
Oh, right, because she had the thing in her stomach. Never mind. The main girl, the orange hair.
Okay.
Yeah. She's one of my favorite actresses, and she's also in like all the Resident Evils. And
she was.
Yeah, and she did like a Joan of Arc movie as well. So it's always funny, especially growing up. Like everybody, not to say I have anything against my fellow Black actors, because I have my favorites there. Yeah. But I always like weird films that not everybody likes. So when people would ask me, I'll be like Mila Jovovich. Like I love zombie movies. Fifth Element was the shit. Joan of Arc. Like I was like, I love her. Yeah, so you know. I'm just weird like that.
All right, man. This was good. This is a good episode.
Yeah, very.
Listen, guys. If y'all can, definitely watch the documentary on Netflix. What's the name of it?
The Social Dilemma.
The Social Dilemma. Definitely check it out.
Check out Cuties.
Check out Cuties,
Check
man.
it out.
Like, go into it
with an artistic eye.
Yeah.
Think about the truth that you're seeking.
Yeah. Don't go into it. Like, if you go into it thinking about these little girls, there's something probably wrong with you. Number one.
Think about the story.
Think about the story. You know what I'm saying? Go into the story. But definitely check it out. I think it's good. We're going to tag Netflix on this shit because we're going to let Netflix go.
Sure. Hey. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Netflix so chill. You know what I'm saying? We out here. But yeah, man, leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think about social media.
Yeah.
What's y'all favorite social media to use? Definitely let us know that.
And are you stuck in the Matrix because of it?
In the Matrix.
How about that?
Yeah, we out here.
Blue pill or the red pill? How do you know if you're gonna wake up from the Matrix if you don't even know you're in it?
That's that 7 daughters right there. That's that 7 daughters right there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm dead.
She woke. Yo, so definitely check us out. Keep It a Frank Podcast, iTunes, Spotify. We're going to post it on YouTube as well. Third Eye Media Network. So follow Third Eye Media Network on YouTube. And also, I just created the Keeping It Frank Podcast show community on YouTube. So definitely follow us. Speak. Let's get some dialogue. If we're going to use social media, let's do that to talk. Let's say something. All right?
Fact.
So definitely. Trailer Husbands, Trick or Trade.
Hey.
Keston, a.k.a. Holla, a.k.a. You know what I mean, Holiday, you know what I'm saying? Crown Heights, Brownsville, we out here.
Wow.
And Keeping It Frank, we out.